Hello Internet. The UK had an election we need to talk about because after the debates finished, the people voted and the ballots tallied. The results were this. But Parliament ended up looking like this, which isn't exactly representative, and by exactly I mean at all. Red earned 30 of the vote and 36 of the seats, which is sort of close, but the rest is madness. Orange earned 8 of the vote, but got 1/8 of that, while yellow's 5 just about doubled, and purple earned 13 and got squat. Meanwhile, blue's 37 of the people boosted to 51 of the seats in Parliament. The blue boost is even bigger when you consider that 51 of the seats gives you basically 100 of the control. How'd this happen? In the book, national elections aren't really national. They a bunch of local elections. The UK is divided into constituencies, each of which elects one member of parliament to represent them. This local-national divide is where the trouble begins. Imagining a parliament with just 3 constituencies, and it's easy to see how it would always align with the citizens. Some people think this sort of result is fine. It's all about winning local elections, they all say. Each represents their constituency. And while the imbalance in this example is extreme, it's the same problem in the real election, and the same argument is given, but there are 2 more problems with it in reality land. First, few citizens have any idea who their is. They just know what party they voted for, what party they want to represent their views on the national level, and pretending like it's a competition on the local level is a bit disingenuous. In practice, it's an election for how the nation will run, not really for who's going to represent any part of it. And even if it were, the individual constituencies are worse at representing their citizens than Parliament. Indulge this spreadsheet-loving nerd for a moment, will you? The difference between what a party earned at the polls and what they got in Parliament is the amount of misrepresentation error. If we calculate all the errors for all the parties and add them up, we can say that Parliament as a whole has a 47 percentage points of misrepresentation error. That sounds bad, but looks like a utopian rainbow of diversity compared to any local election, because the local elections have one winner. Out of the 650 constituencies, 647 have a higher representation error than Parliament. These are the only 3 that don't, and they really unusual for having so many of a single kind of voter in one place. Most places look like the Recon, which is dead in the middle, a mere 101 points off. Note that the winning candidate here didn't reach a majority, which means more than half of constituencies elected their with a minority of voters. The worst is Belfast South at the bottom of the list, hilariously unrepresentative. Less than a quarter of the voters get to speak for the entire place in Parliament. This is the lowest percentage an MP has ever been elected by. So when people argue that the election is a bunch of local elections, it's even more of an argument that the elections are broken because they worse on this level. These elections are terrible because of the first past the post voting system, which I have complained mightily about and won't repeat everything here, go watch the video. But told her, it only works when citizens are limited to 2 choices. Voting for any party except the biggest makes it more likely the biggest will win by a minority, which is exactly what happened. That citizens keep voting for smaller parties despite knowing the result is against their strategic interests demonstrates that citizenry wants diverse representation. But that success is the very thing that has made this the most unrepresentative parliament in the history of the UK. Now people happy with the result argue that the system is working fine. Of course they do. Their team won. But government isn't a sport where a singular winner must be determined. It's a system to make rules that everyone follows, and so we need a system where everyone can agree that the process is fair, even if they don't like all the rules. If you support a system that disenfranchises people you don't like and turbo-franchises people you do, then it doesn't look like you support representative democracy. It looks like you support a kind of dictatorship light, where a potentially small group of people, including you, gets to make the rules for everyone else. And as it is now, on election day, the more people express what they want, the worse the system looks, which also makes them disengaged at best or angry at worst. And gee, I can't imagine why. This is fixable. There are many, many better ways they could vote. Here are two that even keep local representatives. And fixing voting really matters, because this is a kind of government illegitimacy score, and it's been going up and may continue to do so unless this fundamentally broken voting system is changed.